So the beginning, I don't know where the beginning is. I know historically, we have to look at Mesopotamia. We can't point to any great utopia, you know. It seems like we just repeated and repeated and repeated and repeated. We just do the same thing. I think we think as humans, we think we're so powerful and in control, but maybe it's the whole cosmos guiding it all. We think we're so sophisticated and evolved, but I don't know. I think we're just biological creatures trying to make the best out of it. Historically, we can go back to Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization, and I think we've been repeating the same thing over and over again since then. You know, when the Persians were on their exploits and conquering other tribes and subduing them and then making them pray to their gods. It seems like we're still doing that same thing today. And we think we're so different today, but I think we're just repeating history over and over again. It's like cultures, power cultures, take over the smaller cultures. Smaller cultures get bigger. They start taking over the other cultures, and they take over their gods. I think a good example is like Christianity. Christianity has conquered every pagan religion in the world and then adapted their pagan rituals and holidays and made them a Christian holiday. Every summer, every solstice is marked by a Christian holiday today. Christmas is the winter solstice. The spring, the summer solstice. What is that, Easter, April? I don't even know. Yeah, the spring equinoxes. Yeah, it's a modern interpretation, you know? It all is. We don't have those cultures, you know, like the Druids and all this, you know? We have to reimagine it. We don't have any strong evidence, you know, over anything.
Almost just making shit up.
Yeah, in a way, and you have to. I think it happens in a lot of cultures. But I think that's what happened in a lot of, like if you look at Tahiti and the Marquesas, so much was lost that'll never be regained. You know, because the disease came, the missionaries came, and everything was banned, and it was lost forever. And so, you know, a lot of reinvention has to happen. Reimagining. Because we just can't go back in time and bring that back. We gotta kind of use our imaginations. And we have to. I mean, shit, we can't even figure out how the pyramids were built. So we definitely have to rely on our modern understanding. And a lot of times we want to go back in time, but we bring our modern perspective with it. And that's, you know, that's not going to help. That reminds me of the stoned ape theory. You know, that human consciousness was invented when our early hominid, almost, you know, Homo sapien hybrids were eating hallucinogens. And maybe that's how consciousness was created. That would be interesting.
Day.
Yeah, we're so far away from apes, though. I mean, we're close, but we're still so far away from that. Some people think there's like some missing link. That's when the ancient alien people come out. Yeah, go back to the Sumerians. You study their stuff, and it's like humans were invented to harvest raw elements for alien species. Maybe we evolved out of that, right? Taking hallucinogenics. Maybe that's how our creation stories even evolved. I don't know. No, I've never done any hallucinogenic in a party atmosphere, ever. Only in ceremony. But you think of all this is like I would have some, fundamental belief system revolved around that, and I don't. I've had Peruvian shamans read me my past lives, and I've had lots of people do that, and it's like, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm fine not having a belief system. I like having morals and values and this and that, but belief system as far as where we come from, I'm fine with the mystery. I don't need no, because there is no answer. What got me into symbolism was Joseph Campbell and The Power of Myth, the book, and how mythologies looked at like a almost fantasy land, and we look at myth as like something we made up to help us get by dealing with life. But I think there's something more to it, the mythology. And I think every culture's made a mythology. And it's either man-made, because we all deal with the same things. We're all trying to survive. We're all trying to make a reason to why we're living. Some people need creators. Some people don't. So, symbols, I think symbols are a way of communicating with nature in that mythology. We need the symbols to give us meaning of life, give meaning to life. And I think they help us deal with everything. And it's interesting because you see around the world, you see the same symbols recreated. And I used to think that everything was interconnected, that maybe the Egyptians met with the Mayans and this and that, but the more I've studied symbols, I think it's just, we're the same people. We're culturally different, genetically we're the same, but I think we have to deal with the same things. We need shelter, food, we farm, we have to create that meaning, and that's, I think the fabric of symbols is helping us, because everyone's got an answer to why we're here and where we're going, but I don't know. I don't think anyone really knows. In a way, I could take the simple symbol for Lauhala, and that's, to the hala tree, which is the most prevalent used plant in Polynesia. And Lau is the leaf of the hala tree. And then you can find that symbol in Egypt. You can find it in the Maya, the Olmec. It's just the same thing around everywhere. It doesn't have the same meanings everywhere, but it's the same, like textiles. It's the same weaving. We're biological creatures. We're driven by biology. Genetically, we are the same. The Genome Project, we have little subtle differences, but we're all the same people. We all trace back to Africa at some time in history. And it's been debated, whether maybe we came from Australia. But I think it's been pretty much proven that we all originated in Africa. So it all goes back there. Well, there's the whole debate of what and why whiteness happened. Was it genetic because we left the continent of Africa, and then we traveled to northern countries where we didn't need melanin anymore because we weren't faced with the same environment. You know, we didn't have to deal with the sun constantly. Maybe over thousands of years we developed. That's a huge debate on where the lack of melanin started. There's some people that believe that, you know, if you shave a chimpanzee and you take all his hair off, well, he's kind of light-skinned, right? But that doesn't make sense to me. I think it's just we all migrated out of Africa and the environment shaped us. We just developed differently.
And then breeding with other cultures.
Not even breeding with other cultures, you know, first, you know, Neanderthals covered a distance between Africa, Europe, up into Mongolia. And so we did probably interbreed with Neanderthals. No, we did. It's been proven genetically. And then maybe we killed off the Neanderthals. That's a whole theory. That Homo sapiens, you talk about racism, you know, maybe that was the birth of it all when we were fighting Neanderthals, because eventually they became extinct, and we're still studying why. But I think, yeah, Homo sapiens probably had a big part to do with that. We're all the same people, but we're culturally different. Yeah, nothing's gonna outrank the Atlantic slave trade for brutality. Nothing will. The Arab slave trade happened, but it had nothing to do with race. It had to do with religion. And then if you converted, well, you were fine. You know, and the Atlantic slave, the chateau slavery, had no chance. You were not even human. You know.
Round up all these people.
There were some African tribes that participated in it. You know, what good way to disrespect your enemy was to sell them off to the Americas, you know. That happened. That wasn't the real reason, you know, but power of the gun. Did they have a gun then? Did they have muskets? Yeah, it's the most brutal. There was no other form of slavery like that, you know, before. Not at that level. That's something unique to itself. I think we've come a long way, though. That's why Stephen Pinkerton, he's an interesting guy, scientist, because he's going to point out the ways we have evolved. And he presents a lot of evidence to how we've come a long way, you know. In the Old Testament.
What's the difference in the old to the new?
Oh, big. Jesus is the difference.
So there's no Jesus in the Old Testament?
No, he didn't exist in that time.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Only.
Pre-Christ, and the new is post-Christ.
Yeah. I like Thomas Jefferson. He rewrote the Bible.
Yeah.
He had Thomas Jefferson, yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he had the Jefferson Bible, and he took all the miracles, all the sci-fi, all that shit, and threw it out of the Bible, and just kept Oh yeah, he had to keep it hidden in his time too. But came out later, you know, after he died. He didn't believe in the. Is it on Amazon? Really? You have a copy at home. Well, Christianity, I don't know, you could say, did they take, you know, the Noah flood from the Epic of Gilgamesh? The Sumerian story? Same with Genesis, you know, that ties into a lot of old Sumerian texts. There's some phenomenal history in the Bible, that's for sure. I definitely don't believe in a, like, one creator type of thing. Yeah, that doesn't just, to me, logically doesn't even make sense to me.
How could it with a documentation of so many different gods?
Yeah, I know.
It's just...
Hawaiians alone had like 400,000 different gods. I mean, it is easier to keep track of one. They were speaking logistically, One God, you're like, yeah, okay, that's easy to keep up with.
We just gotta go on or
400,000, dude. That's a, whew, I don't know. That's an undertaking. How tiring. So I could get why you'd want to do. I mean, Akhenaten did it. The Egyptian pharaoh. He went to a one God monotheism for a while, but they overthrew him. They weren't too happy with that. So they overthrew Akhenaten. Akhenaten was the father of King Tut. Yeah. Yeah, so he tried. Some people think he was the first to ever use monotheism in religion. Some people think that's the father of Christianity right there. Amazing all the findings they've found, now in Turkey, around Göbekli Tepe and just all the other sites now that they have found there. How vast it is. Pretty nuts, man. We've only uncovered just a little tidbit in that area. It's vast. It's funny, because there's a big argument too. Graham Hancock, Leonardo Carlson, and that whole group will say Göbekli Tepe was buried by its inhabitants, And then every geologist working on the site will be like, it wasn't purposely buried. It's pretty funny. Where there are these big debates, And we're just going to have to dig more, unfortunately. Göbekli Tepe is just one of like thousands of those ruins that are there. Maybe that's where people lived. I don't, Yeah, we don't know. We don't know. Yeah. Yeah, go back in time.
Go back in time, would you do it?
I know. Yes. I'd be on it right now.
What time period and what location? What would you choose first?
Oh, yeah, I don't even know. No, I'd go to the earliest, yeah. I'd go, say the builders of the pyramids, yeah. That's the first place I'd go. Or Baalbek, Lebanon. I want to see these, 600-ton rocks being moved. Maybe go back in time to Easter Island, See how the hell they're doing this. Easter Island I get, because if you spent 1 year on just one moai, wow, I could see that.
Did the stones come from the island itself?
Yeah, oh yeah. Quarried right there. Yeah, I'd go back to the Younger Dryas, see what caused that. Because it's either a change in the currents in the ocean, it's either volcano, solar flare, or meteorite. I think one of the four. I start to think it's solar flares when I really think about things. Or volcanoes, Mm-hmm. Those can black out the sun. I've heard theories about, solar flares and volcano activity. That there is correlation between them. I don't know how much, but I think they have found that scientifically. That could trigger it. Earthquakes, I think, can trigger it. It wouldn't have to be global. They've already done, 70,000 years ago, that earthquake that blacked out the sun. Tubu, it was in Malaysia 70,000 years ago. It blocked out. It cooled the earth, yeah. Yeah, so they've done studies that our bacteria in our gut is the oldest living bacteria on this earth. And so some scientists believe that the human body evolved just to house this bacteria. It might be, And what's weird too is our bacteria in our gut exist. It's inside us, but it's not. It's only connected by our mouth to our anus. So it goes through us, but it's not really, it's part of us, but it's not. It's doing its separate thing. So maybe that theory is true. It invented our bodies just to house it.